Hey guys, it's Surya and today's Monday. So this video is part 2 of my full explanation to the Megaminx, which is the shape mod of the 3x3. Now if you haven't watched part 1, I recommend you do so. The link is in the description below and in these info cards. So go check it out. So anyway, let's go. So in my last video, we realized that the Megaminx, in spite of having 12 sides, is basically a 3x3. It's just like a 3x3 except it has 5 edges instead of 4 and 12 faces instead of 6. Essentially the same because it just has centers, corners and edges. Moves in the same way as well, except that it doesn't have any large moves. It's all tiny layers, which was a frustrating part of it. We also learned how to do the first few layers. Now we need to solve these pieces, this layer, which is essentially a repeat of the first layer's corners, and then we need to solve this layer, which is a repeat of the second layer once again, and then we do the last layer. So let's get into that. So fortunately, solving these upper corners is quite easy. We just need to find a piece. So let's start with anyone. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, so we need peach, red and light pink. So let's just search for it this way. Since this whole thing is solved, we don't need to search anywhere here. Just search for it like this and you can find every single piece. So let's just go slowly. As usual, we need to pick a color that stands out among these three to search for. I'm just going to pick peach. So every single peach piece that I see, I'm going to take a look at it and I'm just going to say, okay, does it have the other two colors or not? You could either do that or you could use a small trick. Now you notice how 4 of these red corners have been solved. There's only one red corner left. So any red that you see here, it can only go there. So all you need to do is just search for red and you'll find it. And well, the moment you put that in, you immediately get this. This is the only red invisibility. Of course, you can search for anything else, but because of what I mentioned earlier, you're not going to see any other reds. This red alone needs to go there. So first, let's just bring it in front of where it needs to go. And we can clearly see this is just a repeat of the first layer's corner. This piece just needs to go there. So now obviously things can get a bit tricky here because of all these angles and whatnot. So let's just keep it simple. Let's just take a look at the color that needs to go over here. Let's pretend that this is the top layer. This is white. So that needs to go there. And suddenly it seems to make a bit more sense. Otherwise it was pretty tricky with all these, you being able to see all three like this and this side and everything. It can get confusing. So this piece just needs to go there. So hold this in front of you. Now just move this to the side, bring this up, bring this back, and bring it down. It's that simple. It's basically done with that. It's the same thing as the first layer. Just do that for the other 4. 4 is it? Yes, 4. So let's just do this one. Peach, green, and light blue. Let's search for a green piece since there's only one. Just keep searching. And there you go, we found it. So that needs to go there. If it was in there, just remove it. Just simple, just bring it up, move this to the side and bring this down. Let's bring it there. Now that needs to go there. Now all this peach and all that can be quite tricky. So let's look at the color that needs to go there. So this green needs to move there. It's the exact same as before. Let's move this to the side, bring this up, bring this back, bring this down. Just note, you need to avoid making the same mistake as in the first layer. You're not supposed to move it in this direction because then you'll be moving this up and the piece is going to get messed up and everything. You're supposed to move it away from where it needs to go. Just keep that in mind. That one's done. Let's go on to the next one. We need to find a dark purple piece because these two colors are also there, but well, they're not necessary once you have only this color to look out for. So let's do that. And we found it. This really speeds things up. So now this needs to go there. It's the same thing again. You know what, I'm just going to switch it up a little bit just so that we can have a slightly different situation. There you go. So this piece needs to go there. This time it's not like this. The piece is on this side, the color rather. So that needs to go right there. Now we do the exact mirror image of what I did till now. Move this to this side, away from where it needs to go. Bring this side up, bring this back and bring it down. Let's move on to the last 2. So this one we need to find a bright yellow. That shouldn't be too difficult. Let's go, and we found it. Let's bring it there. So be careful with this one piece. I mean, these three colors can be pretty similar, yellow, orange, and green. And well, it's easy to mix it up and put it in the wrong place. Just watch out. So that needs to go there. Just move it to the side, bring this up, bring this back, bring this here. Last one, just find a dark blue piece. Here it is. Just bring it there. Now if, I'm just going to give you a slightly different situation here. Now I explain what happens when the piece is over here. Just move that to the side, bring this up, bring this back, bring it down. I explain what happened if the color is on this side. Move it over this way, bring this up, bring this back, bring this down. But what if it's on the top? What if it's on the opposite side? Well, you do the same thing as in the first layer. So I'm just going to explain it real quick. So that needs to go right there. Just bring it under where it needs to go, right there. Now bring this layer up and move this twice. By doing that, we've just given this edge a twist. So now this color is on a regular side. It can be solved using a regular way. Just move this to the side, bring this up, bring this back, and bring it down. That's the end of the higher corners. Now let's do the higher edges. The higher edges are the exact same as the second layer, if not easier. So let's just go over that. It's the same algorithm, just you need to use it over here. And in fact, because of the fact that only this top layer remains, it may actually be easier to move the edges around because it makes more sense. It's more comparable to the 3x3. You can think of this entire thing as the first layer, this being the second layer, and that being the last layer. So let's go. Let's start with any one. Let's start with this one. We have the edge right here. I mean, we can keep searching. I just brought it there to explain. So this piece needs to move in there. Same as before. It's a pink and a peach. I've matched the pink like this. You need to make sure it's not over there, because then these two colors don't match. I know it doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't seem too clear because of the lighting, but well, if I hold it like that, maybe you can see the difference. Well, the difference is not too clear, but this is a pink and this is a peach. So that matches here. So this piece needs to go in this way. So you move it away, up clockwise, bring this side up, right side clockwise, then up anti-clockwise, and right side anti-clockwise. Now these two are matched. I just solve it in. Up anti-clockwise, front anti-clockwise, up clockwise, front clockwise. That's it. This one's been solved. Let's move on to the next one, which goes there. And that's a blue and a peach. And the piece just happens to be here. But well, it's probably somewhere else. Okay, you didn't see that. So let's keep searching. Oh, there it is. What a coincidence. Okay, so let's bring it where it needs to go. It does not match here, so we should not keep it here. It needs to go in this way, towards its left. So here's what you do in that situation. Up anti-clockwise, move it away from where it needs to go. Bring this side up, left anti-clockwise, up clockwise, left clockwise, up clockwise again, front clockwise, up anti-clockwise, front anti-clockwise. It's that simple. We're done with 2, 3 to go. So here we have a blue and an orange. Let's search for that. And there you go. It's over here, but it's attached to something else. So how do we remove that? Well, that's quite simple. If you can find the piece that needs to go there, you can just put that in. The moment you put it in, this piece will come out. Or if you just don't want to do that, just pretend that a different piece needs to go there. The moment it goes in, this one's going to come out. So, I mean, we have the piece right here. This one can go in there and this one will just come out. But, well, you can also put in any random piece and then solve it properly later on. I'm just going to solve it with this for now. So that needs to go right there towards its left. So move this away, bring this up, bring this back, bring this down, and solve this piece. There you go. By doing that, this piece has been pulled out from that place. Now let's move it to where it needs to go. It needs to go to its right. So move it away, bring this up, bring this back, bring this down, and then solve the regular way. And there you go. This one's also solved. It's the last and final one, orange and green. Sometimes you're going to find the piece in its place, but flipped. In that situation, do what I told you earlier. Just pretend that a different piece, I don't know, this one needs to go in there. By moving it in, that piece will be kicked out. And then you can just take that piece back to its place and then put it in the right way. So this piece needs to go there. In this case, it's not flipped in its place. It was on the top layer. Nothing too complex. So just move it in there. The regular algorithm. And there you go. We've solved the higher edges too. Now let's get into the last part, which is the last layer. Okay, well, when I said the last stage was the last layer, I didn't really mean that. It's more like the last part of the Megaminx. But well, this part is once again, as per the 3x3, it's divided into 4 parts, solving the, well, okay, well, I was gonna say yellow cross, but this is not yellow and it's not a cross. So, well, what do you call this color? Gray. Okay, the gray star. So let's first solve the gray star and then solve the gray corners and then rearrange the gray corners and then solve the gray edges. Except this time we'll be solving the gray edges and then the gray corners. I'll explain all that. So first let's start with solving the gray star. So here, as usual, just like the 3x3, you can get 4 situations. The first one is the dot. Well, this is not a dot. First off, it's got one edge up here and the other are down, so it's more like a tadpole. So in this situation, all you got to do, you just got to go here with this tail pointing this way to your front left, and you got to do the same algorithm as in the 3x3. Front clockwise, right side clockwise, up clockwise, now right side anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, and front anti-clockwise. That brings us to the next step, which is the bar. It looks kind of like a bar, but more like an arrowhead with 1 up and then 2 up right on the opposite side, these 2 down. So before I explain what to do here, I'm just going to explain another step, which is the hook. This is not exactly a hook. It's more like a broken starfish. It's got these 3 edges. Well, it's not a starfish. It looks more like a jet or something. Hard to explain what this is. But in this situation, you go here with the center pointing to the front left. Basically the same as the tadpole, but with wings. And you do the same algorithm. And you get to the bar. So now here's what you do at the bar, or the arrowhead. You place its head to your right, except not the front right, the closer right. So, and you do the algorithm. Front clockwise, right side clockwise, up clockwise, right anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, front anti-clockwise. And there you go. We've come to the gray star, which is the 4th situation and the one you should get to. So now that we've done that, let's solve the gray corners. Okay, so before I go into every single situation that you can get when trying to solve the gray corners, let me explain the 2 checkpoint situations, which is basically the 2 fish that you can get. This is a fish. I know it doesn't look like a fish, but basically it's supposed to look like a fish in 3x3. The same thing. I mean, you may be saying, okay, well, there's 2 corners here. Why is it still a fish? Well, basically because it performs the same function. I'll explain it to you. Basically in the 3x3, let me bring it out again. To solve from here, you keep this fish head on the bottom left and you do this algorithm, right clockwise, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise, up clockwise twice, right side anti-clockwise. Over here, you basically do the same thing. You keep the head towards your lower left and you do the same algorithm as long as there's a dot here. Sometimes you get a dot here and sometimes you get it here. Never in the same situation. I mean, you don't get 2 dots like that. You get a dot here or here. Now, usually if you get a dot there, you just ignore it and do it here anyway. But that's not the case for the Megaminx. I'll explain that in a second. So here's what you do. If you have a dot on the right side, you just point the fish like this and take a look at it. The 2 corners here. You have a dot here. So you just go here and you do this. Right clockwise, up clockwise, right anti-clockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise. Now not right side clockwise twice, because that's not the same thing. Right side anti-clockwise twice. Right side anti-clockwise twice is basically right clockwise 3 times, because it's 5-sided. And right side anti-clockwise. So that solves it. Now let's go over the other one. Here you go. This is a mirror fish, basically with the dot over here and not here. Usually in the 3x3, you just ignore that entirely. You do the algorithm here, you go back to the fish, but with the dot on this side, and then you do it again and you've solved it. But here you can't do that. Over here, you need to do something a bit special. Because the fish is mirrored, you have to mirror your algorithm to solve it. So here's what you do. You keep this dot on the left side this time, and you do a mirror image algorithm of what you just did. Left side anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, left side clockwise, up anti-clockwise, left side anti-clockwise, up clockwise twice, and left side clockwise. That solves it. Now that we've done the two main situations, the situations that you always have to try to get to, let's go into some of the more complicated situations. I'm not sure if I'll be able to cover all of them, but yeah, let's go. So the first situation looks like this. Looks pretty complicated. You've got one up corner and you've got these two creating two headlights, and it doesn't look like it at all, but this is basically synchronous to this, the cross with two opposite headlights in the 3x3. So in this situation, you just go to a place where there's no yellow and you do the algorithm. Over here, what you do is you just point this way to your lower left where there's no yellow, where there's no gray, and you do the algorithm. And you get to the fish. So you know what to do from the fish. Just look at where there's gray over here, and do the algorithm, and you've solved the side. Let's get into the next one. So the next situation looks like this. It's got one up corner here, two headlights and two side lights. You could say it's an alternative form of the cross. It actually is. But over here we've got two headlights, two side lights. Over here you go where there's yellow on the side. I mean, you could also go where there's no yellow, but we're not using that explanation to explain this. Let's use this one where there's yellow on the right, and we do the algorithm here. Just do the same thing here. Just avoid these headlights, go where there's gray on the right, and do the algorithm. And we've gotten into the fish. Let's do another. You know what to do from the fish. You just go where there's gray and you do the algorithm, and you basically solved it. Let's get into this one. So here we've reached a bit of a weird situation. This looks more like a cross than the previous ones, but trust me, it isn't. It's a bit of a weird situation, which is not a cross. Basically, we've got these two headlights here, and we've got these three corners like this. It looks kind of weird. So when you really get into the specifics, it doesn't look like a cross at all. So you've got two headlights and these three corners like this. So in this situation, just go right behind the headlights and go right here where there's gray. So sometimes you can see the gray on this side. I'll explain that in a second. Just go here and do the algorithm. And there you go. Let's go over one more. So here is the other one that I was talking about. We have the star as before, and we have the headlights as before, except this time all these pieces are this way. They're kind of left side oriented. Earlier they were all on the right side of their sides. There was a gray here, here and here, and we were supposed to go to the middle one, middle gray, and do the algorithm, except now there is no middle gray on the right side. The middle gray is on the left side if you're ignoring the headlights. So basically what we do is just a mirror image of the usual algorithm, the one which we do when we have a mirror fish. Over here we have a mirror star, so we just do the same thing. And then we get to the mirror fish, and then we do the mirror fish algorithm. And there you go, we've solved it. Now these are the main 4 situations that you need to know, and 6 if you're counting fish and mirror fish. The rest of them are pretty complicated, and it's not really useful to memorize them. Well, basically what you gotta do is just do the algorithm on a random side. That's sure to change things, and you'll immediately find yourself in a familiar place, and then you'd know which algorithm to use. You can get to the fish and then to this. So now that we've done that, let's get into the next step, which is not rearranging the corners, but rearranging these edges. So the algorithm for this edge reorientation basically keeps these two the same and moves these 3 in a clockwise direction. Now, of course, there is an algorithm for anti-clockwise rotation, but that's basically just the mirror image of this. So hold the cube like that, keep these two the same, and move these like this. So it's really not necessary to learn that one. This is okay learning the right side oriented one and just moving these in a clockwise direction. So let's go into how to do that. So first things first, let's try to match two edges. We need two stationary edges here. The moment we get that, we can just keep doing the algorithm until these three get solved. So let's do that. Now it's not necessary that we'll find it. In fact, we may find only like one which matches. Everything else is messed up. We have to actually move the cube around and keep solving until we get two of them that match. So let's check it out. So just hold it like this and see if you see any edges at all that match while we rotate it. So here only one, no, not even that one. Let's see, none over here. Here we have none. Here we have two matches, but they're not right beside each other. Don't let the solved corners fool you. We're not there yet. So these two match, but they're not beside each other. So ignore it. So over here, this one matches, but nothing else. Let's ignore it. Let's see. This one matches and this one matches, but well, they're not right beside each other. So ignore. Over here, no. Well, that's about it. We've gone through everything and nothing matches. So let's just choose one to keep as a stationary edge. I'm gonna choose orange. Let's go with orange. Let's place orange here. Let's try to solve either blue or green. Let's try to solve one of them, bring them to the stationary place, and then solve the others. So first, let's see what we need to do if we needed to solve green. So we'd have to hold the cube like this. But if we do that, then this green piece would not be affected at all. We need to first push the green piece away from this orange and then move it around till here. So we hold it like this, that this piece gets moved there. So we move it once, twice, and then it doesn't get affected. If we do it another time, it just goes back there. So once, twice, and then we shift the cube like this, and then we move it there. So that would do it. Now we need to do it 3 times, right? Now let's just see what would happen if we had to solve blue. Let's just see if it takes any lesser moves. So we'd be holding the cube like this or like this. So first let's see what would happen if this was the case. So if we did the algorithm here, the blue would move there. That's 1. And then 2, it would completely skip blue. And then 3. So it basically doesn't do anything. So if you hold the cube like this, it just goes off into a loop. So that's not a good idea. Let's see what would happen if we keep it like this. So now these two are our only options because we don't want to affect orange. If we keep it somewhere else, it's going to get affected in the algorithm. So we can't hold it like this. Let's see what would happen if we held it like this. If we held it like this and did the algorithm once, this blue would immediately get shifted there because these two pieces aren't affected. And by doing that, we've essentially matched 2 adjacent pieces. So there you go. Let's try to solve blue. Okay, so here is the algorithm. Right side clockwise, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, front anti-clockwise, right side clockwise, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, now right side anti-clockwise, front clockwise, right side clockwise twice, up anti-clockwise, and right side anti-clockwise. And there you go. We've moved all these 3 just by 1 step clockwise, and by doing so we've solved this one. Let's just try that again. So these 2 are now solved. So we hold it like this. Now we just keep repeating the algorithm until these 3 get solved. Let's just see how long that would take. So we do it once. This piece would go there. This is peach. It needs to go there. So this would go there. And then the second time it would go there. So we need to do it twice. So let's just do that. Hold it like this and do the same algorithm. There you go. These 2 have been fixed and these 2 have been moved by 1 step. Let's try that one more time. And there you go. We've solved all the edges. Now let's get into the last step, which is rearranging these corners. Okay, before we go into the algorithm that solves these corners, let's just understand what the algorithm does so that we can use it better. So first, let's just say this algorithm has come from the 3x3 once again. So you remember the algorithm for rearranging the corners in the 3x3, right? You just go opposite to the solved pieces and you do the algorithm, it switches these 2. Well, that's not exactly the case. Basically what the algorithm does is, it keeps this piece stationary when you do it in this direction. It keeps this left piece stationary and moves these three in a clockwise direction. That's what it does. That's why it seems to solve. Basically, that piece moves all the way there, and then suddenly it starts matching with this one. And these two just move this way, so it doesn't appear jumbled. So that's why it gives the illusion of these two being switched, when in reality, these three are moving in a clockwise direction. Nothing's happening to this one. So I'll just show that to you. It's right side anti-clockwise, front clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, back twice. And this back twice, just to note, is to switch this corner and this corner. Just keep that in mind. And then you do the rest of the algorithm. Back twice again to switch these two corners. And right side twice. So now let's try that with this. Now let's just use the same logic. We need to move these three in a clockwise direction. So these two will remain stationary. So let's just try that. I mean, not necessarily in this direction. Let's just see what direction we need to do it in. We need two stationary corners, just as before when we needed two stationary edges. So we need to figure out a way to do that. So over here we have these two stationary. So we need to choose one. So let's just choose this one. So we need to solve either this or this. So let's just take a look at how we would solve this one. So to solving this one, you'd have to bring that piece all the way there. You'd have to hold the cube like this, do the algorithm twice to bring it from there, and then you switch the cube like this, and then you bring it there. That would be 3 times. Now let's see what would happen if we needed to solve this one. Which color is this? This is green and orange. So we'd hold the cube like this and just do it once. By doing that, this piece goes back there and gets solved. So let's do that. Let's just do the algorithm here. So now here's what we do. I'll just show you the algorithm. And before I get into the algorithm, just a note, this is front, right, up, and well, you could call that back right. Okay. So right side anti-clockwise, front clockwise, right side clockwise twice. Wait, that's anti-clockwise, sorry. Right side is anti-clockwise twice. Now this back right, anti-clockwise twice. Be very careful in this step. Right side clockwise twice. Front anti-clockwise once. Right side anti-clockwise twice. And now back clockwise twice. Make sure it's not anti-clockwise, it's clockwise twice, so that this matches. And then you could either do right side clockwise thrice or just right side anti-clockwise twice. And there you go. That matches these two, not these two, these two. So now that these two are matched, we just keep doing the algorithm like this until these three get solved. So we'd have to do it what? Once, twice. We'd have to do it 2 times for this to get solved. So let's just do that. I'll do it one more time slowly so that you can get the idea of which part to rotate and whatnot. So down, move this clockwise, this down again twice. Now you need to move that side. Make sure to move it twice. 1, 2. Now right side clockwise twice, front anti-clockwise. Move this all the way back again. This time, move it in the opposite direction. Don't move this downwards again. Move this upwards in the opposite direction. Twice. And now just rotate it twice. That's all. So these two are still solved. And this just needs to be moved one more time. So let's do that. Just last time. And there you go. We've solved the Megaminx. There you go. We've solved the Megaminx. If you have any questions regarding this, please let me know in the comments below. So congratulations and hope you enjoyed the video.